Life of an Aspie. If you're following me right now and you're new to my channel, I'm Aspie, and basically I'm all about just sharing you guys my life stories and experiences with my condition of Asperger's syndrome and all these other comorbid diagnoses that comes under that umbrella of it, as well as also hopefully sharing some tips and advice along the way of certain, management systems set up for you guys for whatever you may have, be it mental health disorders or similar kind of, diagnoses like me, so that some of the tips and advice may come effective for you or someone that you know of. Basically, some of the management techniques I use may be beneficial for me as well as for you, but you never know until you try, so to speak. So, if you feel that some of it step by step, regardless of the topics I am addressing right now, feel it's not right for you, it's okay. You can ask for a second opinion or seek secondary medical treatment advice from your medical professional team. In all honesty though, just to give you the heads up though, it's all about basically knowing the warning signs and symptoms of certain, mental health disorders besides, other things that comes in our way, so that we can treat it quick, smart, and also basically hope for the better for those ones that are, going through something, that they will seek that help for themselves as well as maybe for yourself if need be. So no further ado, also I do another channel called Beauty from Ashes, but then again, that's all about everyday, stuff that we go through with my pills of wisdom and experience, and hopefully with that in mind, that some of it will uplift you, encourage you all, and inspire you one way or another, as well as maybe sharing it around with your family and friends. Basically, I'm all here about supporting people and motivating people, not to tear people down, as many people like to tear people down, obviously for a lot of reasons, regardless what it may be. So I want this channel to be user-friendly as much as possible. So no further ado, guys, basically in the last few series over, I've been doing, is, if you've been following me, is the ADHD and series at the moment to complete, as well as the Asperger's and series, which hopefully in a later date of the ones for the Asperger's syndrome type series hopefully will come into effect anyway, because as you know, just that most of it is obviously supposed to be related around my condition and whatnot of those other diagnoses. But then again, if it's all health related, I wouldn't mind actually sharing what I know based on my training and experiences. So hopefully some of this will be of value to you. So as from last time, I was talking about ADHD and sleep, which part of it was obviously I forgot to add before I continue. The second part of it is for the tips for, when you have kids. So hopefully that will come into effect of some of the tips that I've given you. But if I've missed anything, please remember to comment below and engage with me and let me know how you go about it, as well as maybe many others that may be stopping by on my channel, so that we can work things out together. So now this one, as I said, is part 2, which is the ADHD and sleep for adults. As we know that sometimes when it comes down to it, we tend to question why we're always tired, even though sleep disturbances, regardless of what it may be, that maybe we're staying up late or certain sleeping patterns and the sleep cycle isn't going our way. As well as also maybe another form of thinking here is with the sleep disturbances, as I mentioned, this can be caused by ADHD, but then again it can be overlooked for a number of reasons also though, however, including the late age of onset though. But then, as I've researched, there has been recent studies confirming that ADHD doesn't go away at night. Many people tend to assume that, ADHD will just go away at night time or whatever. Like I said before about the Asperger's syndrome, that they want a magic cure with a magic pill or something, but it doesn't obviously work that way. But here today, I want to hopefully give you guys a brief understanding about the ADHD sleep link and the most common manifestations on how it affects us in our everyday lives of the ones that may have ADHD. But like I said, I'm no medical expert, so please bear with me on these tips and advice based on my research, as well as based on what I've been hearing from others, how they go about it and whatnot. This may work for you, it may not. As I said, I'm just a normal everyday blogs, just sharing what I can of my everyday life regardless, as well as I said, supporting you. So hopefully these tips and advice that I'm going to give you will, give you some insight. Anyway, as well as just maybe winding down quicker, staying asleep longer, and hopefully waking up healthier and refreshed, ready for your next day battles of whatever it may be. As you know, sometimes, so for many adults and children alike with ADHD or attention deficit disorder, the thought of falling asleep easily, staying asleep through the night, and then waking up easily and refreshed seems real or even a dream to us. But gotta realize though, however, it can be done. You know, especially for ADHD adults, know that their sleep can be disturbed by mental and physical restlessness. What I mean here is basically, as I said before in the one of the very beginning, ADHD-sleep for kids, especially the people with ADHD, and sometimes it's like this for us with Asperger's syndrome. We've got many continuation of thoughts going through our mind, and it's not stopping. Obviously, we're over analysing or overthinking or planning our next day of what's going to happen and whatnot. And that can, impact a person's ADHD treatment or any person with a form of disorder that can, come with this, as I said. But as with the best of our knowledge that we can about adult ADHD, however, medical researchers are only beginning to understand a stronger ADHD sleep link, basically resulting in difficulties falling asleep, staying asleep, and then maybe waking up in reality. But as I said before, sleep disturbances can be caused by ADHD. It has been overlooked for a number of reasons. Sleep problems did not fit neatly into the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic Manual of Mental Disorders of the DSM that I've been mentioning so many times before in the manual for, that has many conditions. Requirement that all ADHD symptoms must be present by the age 7. Sleep disturbances associated with ADHD generally appear later in life at around 12 and a half on average. Okay. A quote here is by William Dodson, of a medical doctor or whatever you want to call him. He said, no matter how a doctor explains sleep problems, the remedy usually involves something called sleep hygiene. But then, just to bear in mind of what I'm going to say here, consequently, the arbitrary age cutoff has prevented recognition of sleep disorders in ADHD, basically, until recent studies of adults have become more common. Just as ADHD does not go away at adolescence, it does not go away at night either, just to bear in mind. It can impair the life functioning of our everyday 24 hours a day, regardless what it may be. Be it like with us with ADHD, we are suffering from anxiety and the like. The early attempts, however, to define the syndrome, sleep disorders were briefly considered a criterion for ADHD, but then were dropped from the symptoms list because evidence of them was thought to be non-specific. As research has expanded to include adults with ADHD, the causes and effects of sleeping disturbances have become clearer, however, for all of us. The 4 big sleep issues, basically, there has been no scientific, or shall we say, scientific literature on the stimulus ADHD as a prominent cause of sleep disturbances. Most articles may focus on sleep disturbances due to a stimulant class medication that we take, regardless what it may be, rather than looking at the ADHD as the cause. Yet adults with ADHD or without it, being undiagnosed, and that knows that the connection between the condition and sleep problems are real. Sufferers can also call it perverse sleep when they want to be asleep, but they are awake. When they want to be awake, they're asleep. So, either or. The 4 most common sleep disturbances associated with ADHD are, as I'm going to share briefly with you all right now, are number 1, initiation insomnia. About 3/4 of all adults with ADHD report inability to shut off their mind so they can fall asleep at night. Many describe themselves as night owls who get a boost of energy when the sun goes down. Others may report they feel tired throughout the day, but as soon as the head hits the pillow, the mind clicks on. Their thoughts jump or bounce from one worry to another. Unfortunately, many of these adults describe their thoughts as racing around the clock, prompting a mixed diagnosis of bipolar mood disorder, when this is nothing more than the mental restlessness of ADHD. Restless sleep is when individuals with ADHD finally fall asleep. Their sleep is restless. They toss and turn, every few split seconds of the night. They awaken to any noise in the house, be it if it's someone coming into their bed or a cat howling, waiting, outside, waiting to come inside your bedroom. If you've got an indoor cat that does it, they are so fitful that bed partners often choose to sleep in another bed or another area of the house. They often awake to find the bed torn apart and covers kicked onto the floor. Sleep is not refreshing, and they awaken as tired as ever when they went to bed. Number 3, difficulty waking. As I said, more than 80% of adults with ADHD pretty much in someone's practice has mentioned that multiple awakenings until about 4 a.m. Then they fall into the sleep of the dead, from which they have extreme difficulty rousing themselves. They sleep through 2 or 3 alarms, as well as the attempts of family members to get them out of bed. ADHD sleepers are commonly irritable, even combative, when roused before they are ready. Many of them say they are not fully alert until noon. And last but not least about the sleep is from a medical expert by the name of Paul Wendner, a 30-year-old veteran ADHD researcher, relates ADHD to interest-based performance. As long as persons with ADHD were interested in or challenged by what they were doing, they did not demonstrate symptoms of the disorder. This phenomenon is called hyperfocus by some and is often considered to be an ADHD pattern. If, on the other hand, an individual with ADHD do lose interest in an activity, their nervous system disengage in search of something more interesting. This disengagement is so abrupt as to induce sudden extreme drowsiness, even to the point of falling asleep. Right. Another thing to basically consider here is basically like there has been like many battles before, for bedtime. Many people tend to question, what's going on, when of that kind of, active formality of why they can't get to sleep, and that hence why I'm just trying to share this all to you. There has been several theories about the causes of sleep disturbances in people with ADHD, however, with a telling range of different viewpoints. Physicians base their responses to their patients' complaints of sleep problems on how they interpret the cause of the disturbances. A physician may then look first for the disturbances resulting from disorganized life patterns, will maybe treat the problems in a different way than a physician who thinks of them as a manifestation of ADHD. A PhD by the name of Thomas Brown, however, a long-time researcher in ADHD and developer on the Brown scales, was one of the first to give serious attention to the problem of sleep in children and adolescents with ADHD. He sees sleep disturbances as an indicator of problems of arousal and alertness in ADHD itself. 2 of the 5 symptom clusters that emerged from that Brown scale research that he's done involves activation and arousal, which the 2 key points there were, number 1, organising and activating to begin work activities, and number 2, sustaining alertness, energy and effort. Brown views basically problems with sleep as a developmentally based impairment on management functions of the brain, particularly an impairment of the ability to sustain it and regulate the arousal and alertness. Interestingly enough, he does not recommend treatments common to ADHD, but rather recommends a 2-pronged approach that stresses better sleep hygiene and the suppression of unwanted and inconvenient arousal states by using medications with sedative properties. The simplest explanation is that sleep disturbances are direct manifestations of ADHD itself. But then again, as the saying goes, that many people may argue this, so bear with me on this. I might research more to this. But anyway, the simplest this true hyperactivity is extremely rare in women of any age. They may think that, with ADHD and sleep, it will occur more than in men though. But then again, most women experience the mental and physical restlessness of ADHD only when they're trying to shut down the arousal state of day-to-day function or just fall asleep. At least 75% of adults of both genders report that their minds restlessly move from one concern to another for several hours on end until they fall asleep, even if they do end up tossing and turning, awakening frequently, and sometimes barely happily sleep. One hypothesis that the lack of an accurate circadian clock may also account for the difficulty that many with ADHD have in judging the passage of time. Their internal body clocks are not set. Consequently, they experience only 2 times now and not now. Many the adult patients that Brown has said do not wear watches. They experience time as an abstract concept, important to other people, but one which they don't understand. It will take many more studies to establish the links between that circadian rhythms and ADHD. Now, the tips on how to get to sleep are as follows, but here say, bear in mind this. No matter how the doctor explains sleep problems, the remedy usually involves something called sleep hygiene, as I mentioned so many times before. This considers of all the things that has fostered the initiation and the maintenance of sleep. This set of conditions is highly individualized. Some people need absolute silence. Others may need white noise in the background, such as a fan or a radio, to mask out any disturbances to sleep. Some people may need a snack before bed, while others can't eat anything right before bedtime. A few rules of sleep hygiene are universal, however, which are 3 here that I've got, but then again there's some others too. Number 1, use the bed only for sleep or sex, not as a place to confront problems or argue. Number 2, have a set bedtime and a bedtime routine and stick to it regularly. Number 3, avoid naps during the day. Now the 2 more elements of sleep hygiene seems obvious, but they should be stressed for people with ADHD as a gentle reminder for them. Okay, another part is, as I said, get into bed to sleep. Okay, is the first part of the tip. Many people with ADHD are at best, their best at night. However, they are most energetic, thinking clearer, and most stable after the sun goes down, and are continuously full of energy. The house is quiet and the distractions are low. This is the most productive time for people with ADHD to do their work or whatever they may be doing at that time. Unfortunately, they have jobs and families to which they must attend the next morning, tasks made harder by the inadequate sleep. Bedtime battles, part 3 of it is another one is obviously no-brainer. Avoid caffeine late at night. For some people that has ADHD, or especially me in this case with my anxiety versus my Asperger's syndrome, caffeine isn't a solution fix or a fix to this sleeping problem. As we know that caffeine can ruin effects. So basically it can cause obviously the brain of a person that has ADHD to grow more excitable and alert, because obviously the caffeine releases certain chemicals in the brain, as well as the dopamine versus all these other hormonal kind of messages in our brain that will send off certain things. And they have known now that caffeine can be also known as a diuretic, which is not potent as the experts once have thought though, however, but may cause sleep disruptions brought on it by needing to go to the bathroom all the time. So best strategy is to avoid consuming any liquids shortly before bedtime. Treatment options. Okay, here's a few things to maybe bear in mind as I'm sharing this with you all. If the patient spends hours on end at night with thoughts bouncing and his body tossing and turning, this is probably a manifestation of ADHD. Okay, some may say best treatment is a dose of stimulant class medication 45 minutes before bedtime. This course of action, however, is hard to sell to patients who suffer insomnia. Consequently, once they have determined the optimal dose of medication, sometimes they might take a nap after taking it, and then it's like an hour they'll end up taking a second dose. But the people with ADHD may find that the medication's paradoxical effect of calming restlessness is sufficient to allow them to fall asleep at once. Most adults are so sleep deprived, and a nap is usually successful for some. Once people see for themselves in a no-risk situation, the medications can help them shut off their brains and bodies and fall asleep. They are more willing to try medications at bedtime. About 2/3 of the adults patients that Brown was talking about takes a full dose of their ADHD medication every night to fall asleep. Okay, experts point out, however, sleep disorders in people diagnosed with ADHD are not always due to ADHD-related causes. You need to realize that sometimes it could be some other reasoning behind why you're, tired and you're not sleeping right. That's why you need to seek out and rule out every other comorbid, diagnosis that I've shared with you all. Some patients may have a comorbid sleep disorder in addition to ADHD. Excuse me. Okay, next step though, for the treatment ladder, is prescription medications. Most clinicians may avoid sleeping pills because they are potentially habit-forming. People quickly develop tolerance to them and may require ever-increasing doses. So the next drugs of choice tend to be the non-habit-forming with significant sedation as a side effect. They are as follows. So number 1 is your melatonin, which naturally occurring peptide is released by the brain in response to the setting of the sun, has some function in setting the circadian clock. It is available without prescription in most pharmacies and offices. Typically the doses sold are large. Almost all the public research on melatonin on doses is of 1 milligram or less, but the doses available on the shelves are either 3 or 6 milligrams. Nothing is gained by using doses greater than 1 milligram. Melatonin may not be effective for the first night, so several nights may be used for effectiveness. But then again, as we know, melatonin is, as said, from the sun too. Anyway, number 2 for this is your periactin. This prescription antihistamine cyproheptadine works like Benadryl but has the added advantage of sleep suppressing dreams and boosting stimulant induced appetite suppression. For those with no appetite loss, weight gain may limit periactin's usefulness. Number 3 of the medications are your clonidine. Some practitioners recommend it in a 0.5 to a 0.05 to 0.1 milligram dose 1 hour before bedtime. This medication is used for high blood pressure, however, and it is the drug of choice for the hyperactive component of ADHD. It exerts significant sedative effects for about 4 hours. Okay, last but not least, number 4 is your antidepressant medication such as trazodone, Deseril 50 to 100 milligrams, or mirtazapine, Remeron 15 milligrams, used by some clinicians for the sedative side effects. This is due to a complex mechanism of action. Lower doses of mirtazapine, excuse my tongue-tied, are more sedative than higher ones. More is not better. Like Benadryl, however, these medications tend to produce sedation in the next day and may make getting up the next morning harder than it was in the first place. Last but not least, if you want to know, like, problems waking up, even though it's part of ADHD and sleep section that I want to address is, as you know, problems in waking and feeling alert can be approached in 2 different ways. But then again, there may be many other remedial ways to actually solve this problem. The simpler one is a 2-alarm system. The patient may set a first dose of stimulant medication and a glass of water by the bedside. Alarm is set to go off 1 hour before the person actually plans to rise. When the alarm rings, the patient rouses himself enough to take the medication and goes back to sleep. When a second alarm goes off an hour later, the medication is approaching peak blood level, giving the individual a fighting chance to get out of bed and start their day. Okay, a second approach is more high-tech though, however, based on evidence that difficulty waking in the morning is a circadian rhythm problem. Anecdotal evidence suggests the use of sunset sunrise stimulating lights can set the internal clocks for people with delayed sleep phase syndrome. As an added benefit, people may report they sharpen their sense of time and time management once their internal clock is set properly. Okay, disturbances of sleep in people with ADHD, however, are common but are most completely ignored by our current diagnosis system and in the ADHD research, therefore needs more to be done. Like many other, comorbid diagnoses that I've shared. These patterns become progressively worse within age, though recognition of sleep disturbance in ADHD has been hampered by the misattribution of the initial insomnia to the effects of stimulant class medications. We now recognise that sleep difficulties are associated with ADHD itself, and that stimulant class medications are often the best treatment of sleep problems rather than the cause of them. So that basically ends ADHD and sleep in adults. Give me the like for thumbs up showing that you're engaging and you're liking this video. Give me comment below if there's anything I missed for the topic for ADHD, sleep in adults especially. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, AspieAnswersAll. Feel free to private message me on Facebook if need be on AspieAnswersAll. Feel free to also basically share these videos around. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so for more topics that I'm hoping to address with you all. Like I said, I'm hoping, if given chance, by the end of the month, I'm guessing if 2 weeks is up from there, is the last few bits that's needed to be done, hopefully in these parts of the ADHD and series and whatnot, but I can't always guarantee it. But if I miss out on a particular topic that is ADHD related, feel free to, private message me or drop me a comment below, sort of thing, of any, video, so I can see it, to know that you guys are engaging with me. Okay, and all further ado, guys, do what you love what you do. Thanks for watching, thanks for your support, and I'll see you again soon.